Okay.
I know this person's going to listen to this, but so no, I'm not going to give that example because that person might not be okay with like me sharing that. I'm not going to say their name either, but does this happen to you?
What?
It's like
when
you see right through to people's motivations
Yes.
and what they're doing.
Yes.
And sometimes it is like you see malice dressed up as like comfort. Or not comfort, but
I think for me,
pleasantry.
For me, it's less their vulnerabilities because I still kind of have to seek those out, kind of in a way. Like I'm not so keen on being able to, I guess, engage with their vulnerabilities, but I can engage with their, like, what has shaped them, or I guess what has shaped their facade. Like I know what kinds of personal life experiences have, and I guess this lends itself to their vulnerabilities if I keep thinking about it and take it to its logical conclusion. But I can see people, I can see someone, I can meet them, I can see how they act, and as I get to know them, I can sort of undress the fake aspects of their character that lend itself to negative life experiences.
Sun's in Scorpio.
My moon's in Scorpio, bitch.
Right.
That's probably why. Like I can undress their.
Well, I mean, it is right now.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, it's Scorpio season. See, and Jupiter and Mercury are both in Scorpio too. And Jupiter just moved into Scorpio for a year. Every 12 years, it's in Scorpio.
It's kind of a tell-all podcast for such a Scorpio season.
For those people who wonder about astrology, whatever was going on in 2005 is now being repeated with the Jupiter in Scorpio aspect. The same thing goes back all the way to not 2005. Yeah,
I was getting so many women in 2005. I was just knee deep in 6th grade.
Fucking 12 years old.
6th grade hotties.
Shut the fuck up. No, but yeah, that's what Jupiter cycle is about. And so, all this sexual harassment bullshit that's coming out with first it was Harvey Weinstein and all that stuff right when Jupiter goes into Scorpio, and now it's lent itself to, now there's like all this stuff with Kevin Spacey, and I mean all of this stuff that carries on with like all the stuff that started with Bill Cosby and all of his bullshit. Like sexual harassment is definitely taking like a main stage here. But
I did an episode on that, like culture of exclusivity as it pertains to trauma. You put limitations on who can talk about trauma, right? But the fact is, life has so many varying. Life is infinitely variable in the way that things play out. So there are always exceptions.
right.
I don't want to say always, but there are always.
There are always exceptions.
Exceptions.
Like, yeah.
And I've found that I have been exceptions to what are largely understood to be universally affecting different types of people, right? And so, like, with the Me Too thing, let's just stop being abstract.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Right.
That was another good example.
Now, originally, I didn't realize this at the time when I did that episode. But I actually haven't gotten any bad feedback from that, which is good. But, so at the time, it was some celebrity. I think it was like Alanis Morissette or someone. I don't. No.
Who even is that?
I
think I know.
She's a singer.
Oh, okay.
Do you have to let it linger? Actually, that's the Cranberries. Anyway, but
that's weird. That song.
She said, "Women, please, repost and share this. Let people know they're not alone."
Yeah.
And eventually, men got on board. And let's be honest, okay? People from both gender are going to be dishonest about it. you know, people will.
In their own ways.
Yeah.
In, like,
But
stereotypical.
There were two main arguments as to why men shouldn't participate. One was that
Okay, that's dumb as fuck.
the original post
Participate
said,
is-
"Women, please repost." Well,
Oh.
first of all, she doesn't get to decide who has suffered and who hasn't.
I never even did yeah. I never did the reposting thing. I just did the Me Too. Like,
And second of all, it's not a gender exclusive idea. You know, I brought this up. It's sexual assault, okay?
mm-hmm.
So are homosexual males not allowed to participate?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I get,
Like,
I'm a man, people
entire,
hate me,
like-
right? But, like, we're in such an accepting culture now that by being people who argued that men shouldn't be allowed to participate, well, you just excluded,
Right.
you know, someone that we've been, a demographic that we've been so adamant to include, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, God damn it, I lost my train of thought.
I did too. You're talking about Alanis Morissette. Oh, exclusivity.
Yeah.
Men.
I feel like there's like a reverse discrimination movement, right? Like, instead of
It's kind of like reverse racism.
balancing out the seesaw,
Yeah.
like, we want to take the person that was on the ground and put them way up and put the other people back on the ground.
Right.
But that's not equality.
Yeah. That's just inequality reversed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just perpetuating a cycle that's never going to end. I'm done talking about this.
It's okay.
I'm so over it.
You can segue out. We should talk about what should we should. Oh,
You
let's
know
talk about judgment a little bit.
We did.
Yeah, but like a little bit more.
Okay.
Because you're talking about, like what you're addressing right now about how, what is it, you know, how men aren't supposed to be able to speak out against their own experiences of sexual harassment, you know, because they're men, they're the majority, and it sort of goes along with this racial disparity thing.
The subject was sexual assault,
Right.
which is less likely to include men, in fact. But still
Right,
does.
sure.
It still does.
I think that when you take statistical
There-
anomalies,
let's say men are 1% of the
Yeah.
people affected by it.
yeah,
The outrage is you've got 99 women standing in a room, one male, and they said all the women are upset because the man is taking attention away from them. That's why people are upset, or because they think they're being dishonest.
I just think it's based on a false paradigm. Like, I think I mean, in a way it's real, but I think people are too quick to judge. Like, people, if you're judging someone based on their gender, that doesn't disallow them from being able to, like, explain their experiences. Because facts are still facts, and sexual harassment is still sexual harassment, like, regardless of the gender involved. Just because there's a greater percentage of experiences that happen with women doesn't necessarily mean it negates, like, the men's experiences. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's unfair, and I think it's ridiculous that we even have that it even has to be a conversation in the first place of men versus women, or, you know, however you want to divvy it up. And I think that's very much like a sign of the times.
This
And I think
sensitivity only draws more attention to our differences.
right? Yeah,
It's like when you look at the aspects of who's talking, and you're just creating more of a divide, but in
Yeah.
a different way.
Yeah.
You're putting other people on the oppressive side of the fence. Maybe not to the same degree, you know? Because you've
Right.
got years and years of things being one way, but you're still doing that, you know? But, so like,
Positive.
you're talking about facts are still facts, and people are going to misjudge you. I'm like one of the most misjudged people.
You are?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so.
Like,
Even in my experiences.
and like people, like, I am discriminated against so much, and like, fuck you if you don't like that. I'm finally at the point where I'm like, fuck you if you don't like that. But people develop their opinion of me, and it's surface level.
It's superficial.
And they treat me that way.
Right. Yeah.
And they treat me in a way that reinforces that, you know?
And it's not fair to you, like, at all.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't... I'm used to it, so, like, it doesn't really bother me that much. And, of course, I don't get it as bad as some other people.
Right.
It's just in different aspects. Like, I've had age discrimination. I have had gender discrimination. Because, you know what? It's more even just in separate aspects of life, gender discrimination.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there are certain things that are male-dominated and certain things that are female-dominated. And I just so happen to get the shit end of the stick in, you know, like a domestic violence thing.
Yeah.
Where the woman's side was taken, but, like, I handled it
Right.
perfectly.
Yeah.
But, like, there was enough there to infer what you thought would have happened. And I suffered for that. But we have a culture now where people are just like, well, boo-hoo, get over it.
Which is completely wrong.
Yeah.
I think that's worse than anything. Is that kind of culture. Is perpetuating that kind of culture. Of, like... See, and I know there's this entrepreneur I like, and I'm sure, you know, people who are listening, like anyone who has an entrepreneurial spirit knows who I'm going to talk about. Gary Vee. Like, and in the context in which he speaks, like, it makes sense, but he talks a lot about how, like, nobody gives a fuck about your feelings, you know? And he's like, and he's trying to get people motivated to take risks to start their own businesses, right? So he's talking to large groups of usually young people between the ages of 18 and 30.
I would agree with that.
And...
But it's not because of something that you can't control.
Right.
Well, I mean... It's not based on your demographic.
Well, I think the thing is that it's like... I don't know. It's just... I think we, in the Western society, I think we value progress, ambition, innovation, enterprise, you know, the sort of very, like... all of the things, admittedly, that have made us rich and prosperous... as a species, as a culture, but it definitely differentiates itself from Eastern ideas and Eastern theories on focusing more on the collective approach and focusing more on, like, the spiritual side of things. That, you know, integrating the two is of the utmost importance, in my opinion. But my point is that I think there's been, as we age, an intolerance for emotionality. And I think that this is something where adults go wrong, because kids are very good at being adept with their own emotions, you know. And I'm not vouching for like childlike immaturity when it comes to emotions. Oh, I did?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Oops. Wait,
Change
where's the
over.
mic?